My husband had been unreachable for almost 3 days.
He said, I won't reply for a while. My concerns were growing. Without why concerns were growing.
I thought I should contact the police soon. Just as I was thinking that, I got a call from one of my subordinates. Ma'am, your husband passed away in an accident. Sir, why did she call me? I couldn't think about that right now. I hurried to the hospital, which filed crane. I saw my husband's unrecognizable body. My name is Harper, 28 years old. I got married 2 years ago and live with my husband while working at an IT company. We want to have children someday, but not yet.
He is very dedicated to his job.
Just the other day, there was talk of him getting a promotion. So that day, as soon as he got home from work, he happily rushed up to me.
Harper, listen. I might get a position soon.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so happy. It's been tough, but I'm glad I worked hard.
Christopher, you've been working so much on your days. I'm really happy for you. Congratulations. Yes, my husband was so dedicated to his job that he gave up his days off to work. He often worked late and came home just before the date changed. I worried about his heavy workload at times, but finally it paid off. Seeing my husband so happy made me feel happy too. I can't lose either. I thought, I'll try harder too. However, since that day, I started to notice something off about Christopher. His overtime increased even more, and he wouldn't come home until after midnight. His weekend work, which used to be only a few times a month, gradually increased, and last month he went to work even on Saturdays. Not only that, but I felt his attitude towards me had become somewhat cold. First, we used to go out on our days off, but that stopped recently. Isn't that strange? Why doesn't he seem at all tired despite working so hard? Concerned, I decided to subtly ask my husband about it. I waited for him to come home late from work and brought up the conversation.
Hey, Jack, Christopher, can I talk to you for a minute? That's what it...
Lately, you're always on your phone before bed. Even though you come home late, aren't you getting sleep deprived?
Afshin, piggybacking that question, his expression stiffened before bed even though you come home really that busy with work?
I understand you have a lot to do since you got promoted, but isn't it too hard? You've too many weekend work days.
You don't understand my job. Harper, I do overtime weekend work because I have no choice.
In that, Christopher left the living room. After that, my uneasy feelings didn't go away. Then one day, I usually commuted by car, but on my way home from work, I got into an accident. I was rear-ended by another car and taken to the hospital by ambulance. I had bruises all over my body. After several tests to be safe, I was told to stay in the hospital for a few days. That to have a change of clothes brought to me. I called my husband. However, no matter how many times I called, he didn't answer and he didn't reply to the messages I sent. He should be done with work by now, so why? Until now, we could at least exchange messages during his overtime. I kept calling every few minutes, and it finally connected an hour later. As I tried to explain the situation, he let out a big sigh.
Oh, you're so persistent. Yet you tell I'm working overtime if I don't answer the phone.
I'm sorry, but that's not the issue right now.
Eh? What do you mean?
Actually, I got into an accident on my way home, and I'm in the hospital now. Mister, my whole body hurts, but they said there's no life-threatening injuries.
An accident. Oh, what a pain you're causing.
I involuntarily let out a asshole at his unexpected response. He continued mercilessly as I was at a loss for words.
Stop getting to accidents when I'm busy. I'm not paying for the car repairs, alright? Please.
I understand, but I need you to bring me a change of clothes.
At what we say. Aren't you I have to do that? Ron, I'm tired from work, and it's like a punishment game to go to the hospital for someone who got into an accident due to carelessness, so...
Carelessness? Why are you talking like that? Besides, it wasn't my fault. It was the other drivers.
Stop nagging. Anyway, I'm not going, and I won't reply for a while. Figure it out yourself.
Censors, the call ended there. The busy tone echoed in my ear, pushing my heart to the limit. Before I knew it, I was in tears. Why did he speak like that? Aren't you worried about your wife who had an accident? He used to prioritize me over work. If I could, I'd want to get a change of clothes myself. But my parents live far away, so I can't ask for their help. I sent several messages to my husband afterward, but he never brought my things. I had no choice but to buy everything I needed at the hospital store. Exceptions. I tried contacting my husband a few times. Fake section sen. I tried contacting my husband a few times, but 3 days had passed without a reply. He said he wouldn't reply for a while, but I was getting worried. No matter what, it's unusual not to have any contact for this long. What if he got into an accident too? That anxiety crossed my mind. That's when I heard a knock on the hospital room door.
Listen, when I responded with yes and my coworker Jasmine, who I usually get along with, came to visit me. Jasmine, you came. Thank you.
I was surprised when I heard you had been in an accident after I contacted you, since you hadn't been at work for a while. It's not a big deal, just some bruises and a broken bone. But I'm glad you seem to be doing well.
For a while, we chatted and laughed about trivial things. As visiting hours were ending, Asmin started to get ready to leave, but then she stopped and looked troubled. I cautiously asked her,
I'm sorry. Tauntbilla. I don't think I should say this now, but I saw it.
Do what did you see?
I saw your husband walking with Daisy.
When did that happen?
3 days ago.
The Daisy Jasmine mentioned was a junior co-worker at our company. I had been her mentor when she was a new employee. Eventually, even now, a few years later, we'd go to lunch together once a week. Why would she be with Christopher? Daisy and my husband should have last met at our wedding. Could it be? But there's no way they would do something like that. Despite thinking it was impossible, the worst-case scenario crossed my mind. According to Jasmine, she saw my husband with a suitcase and Daisy 3 days ago. Accession stitchers? Daisy has been on paid leave. I hesitantly called my husband's office, and my suspicion was confirmed. He also applied for paid leave 3 days ago. At that moment, my suspicion turned to certainty. My beloved husband and the junior I cared for being betrayed by both of them at the same time. Probably my husband's increased overtime in working on weekends or because he was meeting her. No, maybe they were already involved before that. As I recalled my husband's suspicious behavior, more and more things started to make sense. So that's why he became so cold. Surprisingly, it all made sense to me. Unconsciously, I called my husband. I hardly contacted him these past few days, thinking he wouldn't respond anyway. He probably wouldn't pick up after just a few attempts. But I couldn't just let him do as he pleased. I kept ringing his phone until he answered, 30 minutes after I started calling. My husband finally answered, sounding annoyed.
What's your problem? I told you I wouldn't answer for a while.
Oh, you so busy that you can't even answer a call from your wife. Even though you're on paid leave until tomorrow, what kind of work are you doing?
Assuming he hadn't been caught yet, my husband hesitated for a moment. Still thinking he could deceive me, he quickly started making excuses.
What are you talking about? I didn't take any paid leave.
No use playing dumb. Angela, I already confirmed with the company, and
No, well, actually, I just suddenly wanted to take it easy. I've been relaxing at home these past few days.
Oh, really? With Daisy? I just reason preparing a suitcase. I already know everything. Just confess!
I couldn't help but raise my voice. Then my husband, realizing he couldn't hide it any longer, revealed his true colors.
So you found out? Yes. I'm on a trip with Daisy. I'll let you know. Stop bothering me, you ugly one.
Oh, that's how it is. Why? Why with Daisy?
Why do you think? LBS, she's younger and cheerier than you. Ha 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 ha.
Or such a reason.
You're enough already. I'm having fun on this trip. Don't bother me. Don't worry. I'll divorce you when I get back, he said. But see ya and hang up the phone.
It was right after that. The love that I had for my husband turned into hatred. In an instant, I can't forgive him. To be betrayed in such a terrible way. I won't let them have their way. I'll definitely send them to hell. That's when I decided to take revenge on them. But before I could take matters into my own hands, divine punishment would come to them. The next day, I was discharged from the hospital and started to regain some mobility. To prepare for my revenge, I opened my smartphone to search for a lawyer's office. Just then, my phone rang. Daisy's name appeared on the screen. My husband's affair partner. Apprised for a moment, but I couldn't run away now. I gathered my courage and answered the call.
Hello!
Kappa? Ma'am? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Isn't it common sense to apologize in person?
Yes, you're right. Oh, but that's not the point right now.
Tuh.
Daisy's voice was somewhat shaky. Then she said something that made me doubt my ears.
Your husband has died in an accident.
Oh, we sin.
I was so shocked that I couldn't find the right words. Confused, I barely managed to respond to Daisy.
He's dead. What are you talking about? Christopher is on a cheating trip with you, isn't he?
Tom, Christopher got caught in an accident. Yes, that's true, but on the way home. Christopher got caught in an accident.
According to Daisy's story, it seems the two of them were in an accident on their way home from the airport. Christopher was hit by a car, and although an ambulance was called right away, he didn't move a muscle. To my surprise, the hospital Christopher was taken to was the same one I was staying at. I quickly hung up the phone, explained the situation to the nurse, and headed to my husband's side. I had to move using crutches, as my broken bone hadn't fully healed. Since I heard he had died, I assumed I'd be taken to a morgue or something, but incredibly, Christopher was still alive. However, he was seriously injured. Just after I arrived, a breathless Daisy rushed in. Seeing Christopher lying in the bed, she collapsed on the spot when she realized he was still alive. I had a lot to say, but unfortunately, Christopher was in critical condition. I told Daisy we'd talk later, and we each went home that day. Days later, Christopher barely pulled through, but the accident left him paralyzed from the waist down, forcing him into a wheelchair. My in-laws were furious when they found out about the affair trip.
Although they must have felt something seeing their challenged son, they scolded him clearly, saying, "You brought this on yourself by having an affair."
After my in-laws left, I called Daisy and decided to have a talk with her and my husband. When I arrived at my husband's hospital room, they were having a loud argument.
If you hadn't pushed me that time, none of this would have happened. Okay, it's all your fault.
What? Ellie, you're the one who wanted to take that route. Don't blame me.
What did you say? In the first place, this happened because, you wanted to go on a trip. I paid for everything. Oh, give me my money back. Pay for the treatment. You lousy woman. You hurt the man you love, so you should pay, right?
Don't be ridiculous. Who would get serious with a guy like you? This was just a fling. I'll never see you again.
That time, the two of them carried on their unbearable argument, apparently not realizing I was there. I couldn't take it anymore. I forcibly opened the door to the hospital room, took a deep breath, and shouted at them.
Nothing else, Ray. It's because you had an affair in the first place, that this happened. We could blame games somewhere else.
Ma'am,
Finally realizing I was there, their faces quickly stiffened. Ignoring their confusion, I continued.
How can you still argue in a situation like this? Do you even understand the situation you're in now? Just if there was the first answer to that question.
Harper, don't worry. It's I'm breaking up with a stupid woman.
Oh, so,
So, I realize that it's always been you for me. Harper,
what are you saying now? We're getting divorced, right? Hey, what? I couldn't help but burst into laughter at my husband's dumbfounded expression. Didn't you say it? And, when I get home, we'll get a divorce. Or what? Now that you've fought with your affair partner, you want to stay married to me? Are you an idiot? There's no way I'd spend my life with a piece of trash like you.
Harpreet, why? Yourself to me, eh? Didn't you love me?
Oh, mess with me. Who betrayed that love first? After all that talk about getting the divorce, you want to get back together when it's convenient for you. And, I'm not as cheap as you think. It's you're gonna stand that, never show up in front of me again. Keep regretting this for the rest of your life, you jerk.
My husband was stunned by my yelling. Daisy was pale and trembling. Later, I was discharged from the hospital and decided to stay at my parents' house for a while. After that, my divorce from Christopher was finalized through a lawyer. I demanded alimony from him and Daisy, which they paid in full. Christopher was fired from his job due to this incident. It turned out he'd been using company money for their affair. Adding to his paralysis, he was easily dismissed. All that remained for him was a claim for damages from the company. Finding a new job with his condition would probably be difficult. It didn't take long for word of Daisy's affair with my husband to spread throughout the company. She was met with cold stares and eventually couldn't stand the atmosphere and began skipping work without permission. As a result, I heard she finally submitted her resignation. Now those two will probably never lead a decent life again. What even so. I don't feel sorry for them. This is a disaster they brought upon themselves. As for me, I rented an apartment near my workplace and started a new life. Many colleagues show concern or curiosity, but honestly, my feelings are mixed and I can't describe how I feel. But such trivial rumors will probably die down soon. Now I want to enjoy my life without being swayed by others.